I got 61 points in game week 1, which is an average start by my standards. I'm going to reveal my transfer plans in this video, give some transfer tips for you, and you're going to get to see the latest fixture difficulty ratings for attack and defence from game week 2 till game week 7. Building from the back, I'm happy that we managed to nail the Palace goalkeeper, which is Henderson. He did concede 2 goals away at Brentford, which is a bit concerning. It's not the easiest of fixtures, though, in comparison to West Ham at home this game week. That's a bit more promising. When I picked him, I mentioned that Palace had the 4th best expected goals conceded figure in the whole league last season. Problem is, the defence is slightly different this season. That doesn't mean it won't perform just as well, or I won't get good value out of the 4.5 mil goalkeeper. But I'm hoping those replacements for Anderson leaving the club, and potentially Gay as well, perform to those high standards of the Palace defence last season. Right now, I wouldn't even swap my goalkeeper even if it didn't cost me a free transfer. That's because one match is too small of a sample size to say that Palace defence is leaky all of a sudden. My backup goalkeeper Matthews is staying exactly where he is. No £4 million goalkeepers played in game week 1, and it doesn't look like any are going to play from this point onwards. I'm glad I've got that insurance on the bench for my Palace goalkeeper. I certainly won't be swapping any of my defenders. Liverpool, Arsenal and City all kept clean sheets. That's why I brought them in. I remember considering Quansah in the first draft. He was only 4.5 mil, and I was going to rotate him with Mykolenko. Now, if I did go for that, obviously I would be starting Mykolenko, but he did take a price drop and he's dropped to 4.4 mil. Now, if you own him, I think you keep hold of him, give it one more game week and just see how he gets on. You've kind of lost the price drop now. Personally, I would have transferred him out before the price drop. The only way that I would be selling him right now is if you've got £500 million in the bank. There's no £4 million defenders that will replace him, and you don't want to go and take a -4 and swap out one of your other starting players. And if you don't think he'll play at all, or he'll come on as a cameo sub after 60 minutes, you could just bring in one of your bench defenders, even if it's from a suboptimal team. Then you've got 2 free transfers next game week. You can adapt with more information, and you've got more flexibility with those 2 free transfers. Looking at the defensive fixture difficulty ratings, I think Quansah would be a great replacement next game week. He's only 4.5 mil. Now, if you have got £500 million in the bank, you could actually move to him this game week to get the assurance of the minutes. The problem is he's got Arsenal at home, but I would go for someone like that who's got the higher expected minutes. It's unlikely that you're going to have to spend a free transfer on him in future. A lot of people are going for Rico Lewis. Now, the problem is they're selling Quansah because of the expected minutes. Rico Lewis has got risky expected minutes as well. That's an accident waiting to happen. Of course, he has got high upside in that City defence. I would only take the risk and chase that upside if I was planning in a wild card soon. Anyway, I'm glad I paid the premium for Trent. Quansah got 1 point. Trent got 8, which is 2 bonus points. Gvardiol also got a bonus point for City, and if I was picking a City defender, I would still stick with him. Gabriel didn't manage to get in the bonus, but he still came away with 6 points, and I'm happy that he started and played 90 minutes. Of course, he's got defenders breathing down the back of his neck, but like I said in the team selection video, there's not much game between him and Saliba. They've got a great defensive partnership. I don't think he'll be dropped anytime soon. As for the fixtures, I think his fixture is pretty difficult this week. It's against Villa away, but Arsenal have got the best defence in the league. I'm still going to keep some form of faith there. For Liverpool, they've got Brentford at home. That's a pretty decent fixture. I don't even know if Tony's going to play there, and that makes me consider Mbeumo more. He could be playing out of position again, and he could be on penalty duties. Obviously, that would be after the Liverpool match, which is an extremely difficult fixture. And City get to play Ipswich at the Etihad. That is extremely favourable for a clean sheet. They've got 60% clean sheet odds. I thought Gvardiol wasn't very attacking in game week 1. To be fair, he was playing against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and this match is a different gravy. In midfield, I've got Eze. I'm completely gutted that his free kick wasn't given. The referee admitted at the end of the match that he should have given it, and it was a mistake. But anyway, we move forward. I think he's a good pick. He's a 90-minute man. He's on penalty duties. He's got decent fixtures, including West Ham at home this game week. It was a bit of a risk picking him in game week 1 because there were rumours of him leaving the club. However, I still took that risk. I'm glad I did. There's still a risk there going forward until that transfer window closes, but I'm slightly nearer to safety. Rodgers was a £5 million punt. I know that he blanked last game week, but he looked very promising, and I'm happy that he got to play the full 90 minutes. Unfortunately, he does have to play Arsenal at home this game week, which is unfavourable. I'm just hoping he keeps getting those minutes because he will provide a lot of value for money in the long run if that's the case. With Eze and Rodgers, I could have downgraded Eze a little bit or upgraded Rodgers to get Nkunku, and I'm glad I didn't do that. That's not just benefit of hindsight. I knew the fixtures were difficult. Obviously, he faced City at home, and I think next game week's going to be difficult against Palace as well. It wasn't very promising that he got subbed off before the 60th minute either. However, if you do have him, I'd hold your nerve and keep him because I do think he's going to come good. It's the same with Palmer. He blanked last game week. However, we know what he can produce, and when those fixtures swing, that's when I'm going to jump on those players. I picked Bruno because I thought he was going to play in an attacking role, and that was certainly the case. He got 1.22 expected goal involvement, which means he should have got at least one attacking return, and it was frustrating to watch the match. He missed a couple of big chances, he should have put at least one of them in, but at least he is taking up those attacking positions, which is looking good going forward. He faces Brighton away. Now, a lot of people think the Brighton defence was solid last game week. I was there at Everton against Brighton. It was more a case of Everton being rubbish in attack rather than Brighton defending decently. I don't think Brighton were even that good to win 3-0. I just think Everton were absolutely shocking, and I don't think the red card helped the case either. I'm not necessarily saying it's an easy fixture, because it's not, but I'm saying don't be misled by the game week 1 result. I'm so glad I picked Saka as my premium midfielder. He came away with a goal and an assist. He faces Villa away this game week, just like Gabriel. However, I'd say it's a slightly different fixture to Gabriel, and what I mean by that is I'd rather play against the Villa defence rather than the Villa attack. I think Villa's attack is better than their defence. I could have actually gone for a 3-man midfield and brought Harwood Bellis off the bench against Forest at home, add to that similar expected points to Rodgers against Arsenal at home. However, I do usually favour the attacking players for the higher ceiling, but if it wasn't the promoted Southampton defence, I would consider that a lot more. Either way, Harwood Bellis takes the first spot on the bench as insurance. I do prefer him to Winks and Fass against Fulham away. I don't think there's much between those two. I could easily switch around the second and third spot on the bench and I wouldn't really be bothered. I'm just hoping that they don't need to step in. Up front is Isak. He was our captain last game week. I think he was a bit underwhelming just getting one assist against Southampton at home. However, it's not a captain blank, and in the last 20 captain picks, we've only had 3 blanks. As for Isak himself, Bournemouth away is not a difficult fixture. He looks like he's still on penalty duties and still a 90-minute man for the time being. He's staying exactly where he is in my team. Muniz didn't get anything last game week against United at Old Trafford. However, he's got that pretty average fixture out the way. Now just look how favourable those attacking fixtures are for Fulham. This is why I picked him over João Pedro in game week 1, who's at a similar price point. But if I did own Pedro, I'd still keep hold of him. He's on penalty duties, and I still think he'll come good. It's looking good that he managed to make it to 81 minutes. That's a lot more promising than last season. And lastly is Haaland. I didn't necessarily expect him to score last game week, but he did against Chelsea away. Now I definitely expect him to score this game week against Ipswich at home. He might even be triple captaincy material with the reduced amount of double game weeks. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss my best captain video. I will discuss that in detail with stats included. And if you're wondering who to captain if you don't own Haaland, I'll discuss that in the video as well. As for my transfer plans, I don't feel like I've made any mistakes. That's not clear yet. Plus, game week 2 is one of the most valuable game weeks to roll a free transfer, along with a game week after a wildcard, which is practically the same. So I'll definitely be rolling my free transfer. My advice would be the same for you. Unless you've got players ruled out or you've made a mistake, you should probably go ahead and make that move. But in most cases, most teams shouldn't be needing to make a free transfer this game week. If you need any advice on specific circumstances, leave a comment in the comment section down below and I'll get back to you with free advice.